On today's episode of the Real Recovery Podcast, episode number 58, we are honored to welcome Nicole S. Nicole's story is one of deep resilience, overcoming trauma, surviving incarceration, and finding hope through recovery. She speaks candidly about growing up in chaos, experiencing abuse, and the long, painful road that led her to prison. But Nicole's journey doesn't end there. Today, she works at Quest Center for Integrative Health, where she helps others navigate recovery with compassion and grace. Her story reminds us that healing is possible, no matter how far we've fallen.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm Julie, your co-host. On this journey of healing and transformation, together with my co-host Peter, we dive into the heart of recovery, sharing stories that resonate with courage and inspiration.
That's right, Julie. Each episode is a new chapter in this vast narrative of recovery, and we're honored to bring them to you. But keep in mind, the perspectives you'll hear are for informational purposes only and may not reflect the views of the podcast or our partners.
Indeed, while these conversations can be a powerful part of your recovery toolkit, they are not substitute for professional medical advice. We encourage you to seek guidance from your healthcare provider for any treatment-related decisions.
And if you're facing an immediate crisis, or if you just need to talk to someone who understands, don't hesitate to call the Recovery Crisis Line at 503-223-8569. That number is also on our website. Help is available 24/7.
Now let's begin our episode
of recovery, real recovery.
Hi, this is Julie.
And this is Peter with
Nicole.
Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm very nervous to be here. It's all good. To give our listeners the pathway, I've known Nicole from my home group first. Then we were at Out in Recovery with Amanda.
Yep.
We were doing
That's where we first met.
We were doing a podcast there, and you were with the Quest table.
Yes, I was.
I didn't know you worked with Quest. I didn't know you worked with Paul. And I didn't know you worked with my baby's mama, Darnell.
It's my work wife.
I'm his baby's daddy. We switched it up. But
Exactly. He's the wife.
Yeah.
And I'm the husband.
Yeah. So I love that. You can have the work title. I think the Zoom one. So It's great. When I saw you there, I asked for your card and in hopes of getting you on the show. And we haven't had somebody from Quest, where we've had somebody from Oxford House, True Colors, 4D. There's only even Painted Horse Recovery, right? Yeah. We've had them from everywhere, Fora, but not Quest.
Yeah.
And so we're really trying to be well-versed and give our listeners places to go. We know there's all different forms of recovery.
There is.
And so our goal, last night we did dual diagnosis and it was amazing. So it was really good. And that's just where we come from. And there's no wrong or right on the podcast. I say this all the time. It's just a conversation between us, and we're in Studio H, Peter's house. That's our fancy name. Studio H.
Studio home.
Studio home.
Yeah, because we sometimes have studio trailer. We have Studio Julie's house.
Perfect.
My dog is a Boston, though. A little more.
He gets so excited when I come over.
I bet. Then he starts humping the blanket, so it doesn't go well for the
podcast. Brings me his toys, and he's,
look at what I got. Look what I got.
I want you to pull on it, but I don't want to give it to you. And I'm like, okay.
I have an XL bully that does that. And if you pull on the blanket, he will hold it and hump it even harder as you pull it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not touching this anymore.
He goes to Tuesday night meetings at Another Chance, and he brings his blanket. He humps it. They love him because they're used to him.
Oh my goodness.
And he's in overload the whole time because of the people. He just feeds off of people.
Yeah.
So he's a people dog.
Yeah. So Coco's very much a people dog too. When we used to go to we don't go as much because she has some arthritis and stuff, but I used to take her to that 1,000-acre Sandy Delta, the park up near Troutdale.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and she just run. And where she would go, to the people. Other dogs, get away from me. I don't want to. But the people, right up to them. And
so
she
funny.
loves children, and which always scared me because she would pop
Jump
up and
on
want to
them.
give them a kiss, and of course knock them over. And I'm like, oh, but you're at a dog park, so you know what's coming.
Yeah, no kidding. And I'm very much the opposite. I will run towards the dogs and away from the people. So
I love that. That means you're a cooler person.
Yeah.
I
Because
love all the animals.
that just speaks to your soul. You're a new puppy mom. You were telling us right when you got here.
Yeah.
How many babies?
7.
7's my favorite number.
My dog, my Lola girl, she is a Chihuahua Blue Heeler mix. So she's like the size of a Jack Russell Terrier or a Rat Terrier.
Wow.
And
I've not heard of that mix. That seems very...
well, she got impregnated by a smaller, long-haired Chihuahua. And I'm sorry, I happened to walk in on them doing it, and it was freaking hilarious. They were both terrified. She drug him off the bed, and the thud that came behind it, because he dropped. He's smaller than her. He's like half her size.
Oh my gosh.
Those poor dogs. But the puppies are so cute. And one of them learned to bark last night, and they're all just starting to open their eyes.
Oh, how cute.
They're so cute. I want to keep them all, but I'm keeping
that's
none.
the thing. If I had puppies, I'd want to keep all of them, and I can't.
My sponsor loves Chihuahuas too, even though his last one, we won't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, Abby.
Oh.
Abby just barked a lot and can get a little irritating.
They have bark collars.
Let's be honest, Abby was a bitch. Let's just be honest.
Aren't they
John, don't
supposed to
listen
be?
to this episode.
He won't. He wouldn't be able to find it on his phone. So we're lucky. We're safe. We're safe. But yeah, it's so funny. We had a guy on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and we asked him to be on the podcast, and he was like, "What's a podcast?" And he has 50 years sober, and we are the first podcast he's listened to now.
Nice. Yeah, no, I actually listened to some of your recordings when I was at work, because we were talking about it, about me coming here, and was like, I'm so terrified. And they're like, dude, just listen to it. You'll be fine. I'm like, okay. Because I've listened to some other podcasts. I've listened to like Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny. I've listened to hers. I've listened to a motivational one. And the one that I listened to was very abrasive and in your face, because it was from a former Navy SEAL.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, fuck yeah, this is my shit. And yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
now I
what
don't
did you
listen
think
to
of
them.
ours?
It's pretty cool to hear everybody else's different stories and whatnot. It's going to a meeting, but not with all the drama that might be at the meeting.
Exactly. That's
So
we tried to create it so it was like you're a fly on the wall and you're just overhearing a conversation. And I think the podcast that I guess I'm doing it because of for what I like. And I love the podcast where it's just people sitting and chit chatting and their real selves, and you get to laugh along with them and cry along with them and just like you're a part of their lives.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's what I want to recreate too. I don't want it to be like, okay, question number 1.
Oh my God. Yeah. And if there is a question number 1, what would it be?
Where were you born? I guess let's start there.
Here. Emmanuel.
So tell us what got you to recovery, kind of what you went through to get there, how you ended up at my meeting.
Sure.
Not that I own that meeting, but
I do know what you mean. It all started when my mom met my dad. They fell in love and they had me. But just kidding. No. So I was born and raised here. I grew up in a violent home. Drugs and alcohol were a story, part of their story as well. My dad was a biker. He was a patch member to a club in Hawaii. And drugs and alcohol was very big in his life for a long time until his heart completely started failing. And then he decided that he was only going to smoke pot. I'm a biased person on pot. I don't smoke it. I was always taught it's just a fucking plant because it grew in our yard. It is what it is. But I know a lot of people struggle with it. And so if it's something that they struggle with, then by all means, I'm not going to say, no, that's not an addiction, because anything can be an addiction, in my opinion.
Yeah.
girl, I have about 1,000 of them. Okay.
You know what mine is right now?
What?
Books.
Hey.
I love reading though. So
I think that's educational, but mine's gone from tennis shoes to shopping.
I don't know if mine's educational. I read fucking porn, like late stuff. I read a lot of smut, so.
Look at I bet you it's educational. Boy, no.
It might be.
I have those, what I call mindless books, but I have and I don't read like holding a book, but I have Audible. And I think my library is almost up to 500 books that I've read. And a lot of them are fantasy, sci-fi, and
I'm
stuff
reading
like
a
that.
romantasy book right now. I'm actually reading 2 books, right? 3. And listening to 1. Oh my God. So I'm listening to a book called The Shuddering at work when I'm doing my notes and stuff with my office mate. And then I'm reading One Something Window. It's a romance book or romantasy book. Reading Onyx Storm, which is fucking amazing because it has dragons in it.
All right.
Wow.
Just saying. And then I don't know what the other one is called, but it's a romance novel about Nordic mythology.
Oh, good variety.
I would say that maybe we can say there's harmful addictions and there's helpful addictions. And reading books, I think, can be a helpful addiction.
Well, and then there's deadly addictions and not deadly addictions.
That's true. That part. And parents divorced. Mom remarried a couple of times. Wow. My dad never remarried, but he did move to Maui for 12 years.
Oh, nice.
I never went over there to visit him. He always came here, partly because I was afraid I was going to get stuck over there with him. Love my dad. He was a jackass, to put it nicely.
Are you an only child?
No.
Oh.
No. I have a younger sister and a younger brother. My younger brother lives with me.
Okay.
And my children live with me. But so, moving forward, I got into, when I was in high school, my mom remarried my stepdad. They're still married to this day. Fucking amazing man. I started playing with alcohol and drinking a lot. I was stone cold stoner during high school. Didn't think I had an addiction. At the time, I could drink, I could smoke, I could not.
Yeah.
You could function.
I could function. I did what I did. And then out of high school, I graduated early and I found my first addiction, which I will say is sex work. The money was addicting.
You're speaking to the choir.
The
That's
money.
what I ended up going to prison for.
I, thank God, never have been arrested. I've never gone to jail.
Wow.
I am very fucking lucky.
Yeah.
There's been many a times in my active addiction where I should have gone to prison. Like, I just thank God did not. You know what I mean? So my family found out I was doing sex work because I was up in Seattle walking the street. My uncle found me, snatched me up, drove me home, and my family sent me off to Florida to live with a couple of friends of mine that lived down there that I've been friends with for years. I came home and I went into the military.
Wow.
Yeah.
One extreme to the other.
I have lived so many damn lives.
Well, I went to boot camp in prison. Like, they're worse than military.
Yeah, no. So
lasted 6 months.
Boot camp for me lasted 4 because I got hurt. I got out. And then I went from Illinois back to Florida. I was stationed in Pensacola. I was in the Navy.
Love it.
My first 3 days there was a hurricane. And I got in trouble because I was sitting in the big ass glass windows watching the hurricane happen. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't have this back home. This is awesome.
I did the same thing. I lived in Chicago for a while and I lived all my life here. And I'm standing in lightning and winds and they're like, get the away from me. What are you doing, you idiot?
Stationed, or my boot camp was at Great Lakes, just outside of Chicago.
There you go. Yeah.
So I get that side too, because I was in from summer to where it started snowing. And then they finally sent me off, thank goodness, back down to the sun. I was in the military for almost 2 years. I started getting really bad migraines. They booted me, whatever. I came back home. My plan was to go back down to Alabama and live with some friends on my first true love, whatever you want to call it.
During that time, were you also still drinking and smoking?
Oh, I was drinking hardcore and I was in the military.
So you were building.
What else do you do? What else? You're in the Navy, first of all. Second of all, you're in the Navy. What else are you supposed to fucking do?
And it's cheaper.
Yeah, and I had friends and boyfriends and stuff that would provide the alcohol, and I'd get fucked up and then go to the club and sneak drinks because down there you can be 18 to get in, but 21 you get a wristband. And I remember...
Interesting.
Yeah, there was one time at the club, I never went back, mind you, that somebody pushed me. I was in stiletto heels and I put the stiletto in his forehead because he pushed me. Ooh. I was highly intoxicated. My boyfriend at the time picked me up and ran me out of there so I didn't get arrested. That was the first time.
Did you get your shoe back?
I did. His friend pulled it out of the guy's head. I did. I threw those shoes away, let's say, but I got it back. No evidence until now. Allegedly that happened.
Yeah, allegedly. Statute of limitations, I'm sure.
It may or may not have happened that way.
20-something years ago. Oh, yeah. It was 20 years ago. Oh, my God. Yeah, I came home and my plan was to be home for a couple of months to visit with my family because I hadn't seen them in a while. And then go back down to Alabama and live with my friends I moved to Florida with, right? Well, that didn't happen because I started getting back into sex work. It was right when Craigslist started coming out. So I would work out of an
you could do that on Craigslist.
You could. At the time. You can't now. You can't really do it now, but there's a lot of other websites too. And
so the internet was not yet created when I owned the escort service. And you had to pay to place your ad in the yellow pages.
I know somebody that did that.
And then on top of that, you had to come up with really creative names, like being one that's Willow Escort Service. That's going to be way down at the bottom because it's a W. So I went with absolutely the best because it would be listed first, AB, right? Yep. And so another, like I had all these ones in the A's and then boys for boys and girls for girls, but it was listed in a B. Not.
Yeah, my cousin had an escort service, but it was nothing sexual was allowed. That's how she was. You are there for companionship. You are there for a date, to be arm candy, all of that. Hers was hot bodies. And it was in the yellow pages when I started doing Craigslist. I saw that. I was like, how the fuck did you do that? She's like,
look, I made you sign a contract saying that you would not participate in sex, drugs.
Yeah, she did too.
I did all that as well.
Yeah. And that was a thing. But I got back into sex work. I made a lot of fucking money, met my kids' dad, got fucking pregnant. And then I could not foresee myself leaving the state that far away from my parents while I was pregnant. Okay. Moving a little fast forward, kids happened. I went back to school when I was pregnant with my second. My kids are 13 months apart and they drive me fucking insane, but I love them so goddamn much. So yeah, I went back to school, got my degree in medical assisting. So I'm a medical assistant with x-ray technician licensing.
Wow, cool.
Love that.
Not that anymore. I worked as that for a very long time. In 2011, my dad died. I took that really hard. I started, I guess before my kids, I started figuring out what ecstasy was. My son was conceived on ecstasy. But yeah, so I would use it when we go out and drink and here and there, go dancing, whatever. The copper penny and the refectory.
Oh boy.
So,
copper penny.
Let me date myself a little bit here. But yeah, so we did that. And Dad and I split. He got with somebody else. They had a couple of kids. She is absolutely amazing. She is my baby mama. He's just a sperm donor is what we call him.
I love it.
We are better friends now that we haven't been together in almost 18 years than anything else. So that's pretty cool. But Dad died. My kids were really close with him. They were 3 and 4 when he died. And I found my drug of choice when I was 27 years old. And my kids were 5 and 6, and I found meth.
My drug of choice too.
Yeah. I only actively used for about 4.5 years.
I'm lucky too.
But that doesn't mean I didn't do all the overdosing. I didn't do the needles. I did all that shit. Within 3 months, I was shooting up heroin and meth, like going as hard as I could to the point where I'd be like overdosing to turn around and overdose just because. I lost my job as a medical assistant. So you aid me. And of course, I was high as shit. So I had to go through Washington State, their Department of Health. And I lost my licensing up there. So I can't work up there. I can work in Oregon if I get nationally certified. Don't want to because what I do now pays more. And it's more dear to my heart. So,
Amen.
Yeah. So I did that. Worked in group homes with people.
So how'd you get clean?
How did I get clean?
Heroin. Meth is bad enough, but heroin.
So from heroin and needles, I got clean because when my son and my daughter were 8, 7, 8, I want to say 8, 9, maybe. So I had about 3 years in at this point of using. They asked me why I loved meth more than them.
Ooh.
Because my family didn't know about heroin at this time. And then it was a Memorial Day weekend. I was 2 years into it. They didn't know about it. I called my mom and asked her to come get me from the trap house I was living in with my quote unquote boyfriend, whatever the fuck he was. And she picked me up, took me to my kids' dad's mom's house. And I admitted to the both of them that I had been using heroin as well and needles. And they let me detox at her house. And because she had been a heroin addict in the past, she was like, I have some Valium. So we'll just give you some Valium, let you sleep it off. And I'm going to make sure you stay hydrated. And if it gets real bad, then we'll take you to detox or the hospital. But nobody's going to come over, whatever. And
Wow.
I stayed there.
Must have been so hard.
It
to go
was.
through that.
But I have never used a needle or heroin since. So that's been 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's been 10 years. And then, yeah, I found meth again. I started hanging out with people again. And then I got with this dude. We were using hardcore, got really violent all the fucking time. There's a lot of trauma that I'm not going to talk about because I'm in therapy. So I dished that out with my therapist and my sponsor. But
Girl, if anyone understands,
it's us.
Me, yes.
It's us. Like, the reality is I almost died several times, and it wasn't from the drugs. It was from the people that I was using with, or the person I was with, because of his violent nature. And I knew he was violent, especially towards women. And I stayed because I'm a fucking idiot. That's the truth. Or actually, I stayed because I was an addict.
Right.
And he would always take my drugs. And so I felt like I had to stay because he had my drugs, and that's how it came out, right?
You're not the first person I've heard that story. Very similar.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. So fast forward, like at the beginning of my addiction, I met a friend of mine. I'm just going to call her B. She actually was my dealer for a very long fucking time. Love her to death. But we had so much fun together when we were in our addiction. And she ended up getting clean. And I had gone to treatment. I got out of treatment. I had my own apartment. I was in a full-on relapse for 5 months. And I saw her and she's like, dude, like, this is not what I ever expected to happen. When you're ready to get clean, I got a room open. Come live with me.
Awesome.
You have had some good God shots. Amen.
Yeah. A week later, I was called and I was moving out from under my boyfriend that beat me up because he beat me up so bad that my daughter was in the living room with no lock on the door, and she almost walked into him, almost killing me. When I went to my friend's house, I had a huge lump and black bruise on my forehead. My whole entire rib cage was black and blue, and likely had broken ribs, likely because I was hard to breathe. It was hard to do much of anything. Never went to the doctor for it because I didn't want to be the rat. Like, when you're in that lifestyle, you're very like, I don't want to be the person that tells on anybody. Like, today, you steal a gun, you fucking beat me up. I might handle it, but I also might tell, depending on the severity, because like, your safety fucking matters.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I have a scar from a gun above my eye.
Yeah. Long story short, I ended up moving with her. We lived together for quite a while. I lived at her house for quite a while. She would call my mom crying, complaining, and telling my mom she was going to beat my ass because I was too much to handle. She goes, I don't remember being this hard to deal with when I was getting clean. But at this point, I was just coming down off meth. And so it was what it was.
Emotional.
It was emotional.
Yeah.
I was working in group homes with people who are disabled on several different levels. I started at this point, I still can't rent because I have such shitty rental history. I have horrible credit. I do all this stuff. I'm working my ass off, working 4 fucking jobs.
Wow.
And after 3.5 years of being in recovery at this point, because my clean date at the time was 8/22/17. I bought my house on December 16th. It was December 16th, 2020. That's when I bought my house. And my kids moved back in finally with me.
That's awesome.
Mind you, at this point, they're teenagers.
So that was a lot.
Let me tell you, if everybody could see the look on my face right now. Yes, it was a lot, but it's a lot more now. My son is almost 19. My daughter's almost 18. But so 5 months into living at my house, I relapsed. had almost 4 years clean. I relapsed for 13 days. I got loaded with a sponsee that was getting loaded, actually.
Wow.
And B came over and we're going to that meeting and dinner still. I was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't feel good. Mind you, this time I was working in logistics. And because we have dark humor. Let me preface this. We have dark humor. So she was like, dude, just smoke some fucking meth and let's go. I was like, that's a fucking problem. I have been. She lost her shit, made me call my sponsor. Mind you, I'd been around my sponsor at work because we did private care and home care for somebody. And she knew. She just didn't call me on my shit. She was like, I was waiting for you to tell me. I was like, okay, cool. It came out again that I had gotten loaded. My new and current sobriety date is 5/27/21. So I'm slowly working towards 4 years.
Yeah.
One day at a time.
I'm so fucking excited because everything is different, right? I worked a whole lot at the logistics place. I did all that. So after 3 days clean this time, mind you, I was on fentanyl and meth this time.
Ooh.
It was mixed. I did not know there was fentanyl in it, but with how sick I was, I UA'd and there was fentanyl. And I never want to get loaded again, specifically because of how much pain I was in from getting clean off the fentanyl.
Yeah.
Like it was hell.
I'm so grateful. I say this all the time. I'm scared shitless. I was an IV drug user too.
Absolutely.
Meth was my choice. And because there's no real meth anymore.
No, it's not.
Because they make too much money off the fentanyl. But because I've never done fentanyl and all the people I've seen die from it, I'm just scared shitless.
Yeah.
It's a good, healthy fear. Don't get me wrong. But I can totally relate to what you're saying. I live in a special neighborhood. It's gotten a little better, but I've seen it all. And I've seen it's not just tweakers. These people are having mental breakdowns. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really fucking sad. It's real sad out there. I lost a friend almost a couple of years ago to an overdose. He got fentanyl instead of what he was going for. And
we've lost a couple
died.
From our group. Boom. Yeah.
I'm curious for our listeners.
Yeah.
Also, what do you think led you to go back out this last time?
I wasn't ready to get clean the first time.
Okay.
I did it because I didn't want to die I was tired of getting beat up and almost killed. Like I wanted something different for my kids. I wasn't ready to get clean. I kept telling myself, I will drink one day. Maybe I'll use like a lady again someday. Because I was functional. I worked while I was getting loaded. And I was like, if I could do it then, I could probably do it now without the man, because then I'll have the money and keep the job and all this stuff. That's the shit that went through my head. Like I worked around the steps, all this, and I was still convinced that I could get loaded again without an issue.
I had a similar thought process.
I had reservations. I was not ready to get clean. I wanted to continue to use.
Yeah.
That was my problem.
It's addictive thinking.
Yep.
I can drink like a lady.
Ladies don't drink, they sip. And I don't sip.
And my follow-up is, so what's different now?
What's different now? So for me, I stay away from people that are using for the most part.
Dude, I preach this. Okay.
So here's the deal. Let me tell you a secret. So I got married, right? My husband is incarcerated and I got married into prison because I'm that brilliant. In 2022. Yeah. And he was using a lot. And so that was really rough. Yeah. And then I have some friends that I've used with that have reached out. They're using like, hey, I really need help getting into treatment. Will you go to a meeting with me? So if they're loaded, I'll go out to eat or go to a meeting or whatever with them. But I will not let them in my home like that. Mm-hmm. They do not get to come stay with me. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason I got loaded after I bought my house is I had somebody staying with me that was getting loaded.
Yeah.
And it took me all of 2 months before I was getting loaded too, but I did it with somebody else, not him. So a lot of my things, like I have to be mindful about who I stay around.
Right.
Yeah. So I got married. My husband's incarcerated. He's got a lot of time left. And actually on the way over here, we both agreed that divorce is the best option for us. Where he's not using anymore, some of the mindset and behaviors are still there. And I've done a lot of fucking therapy.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of therapy. I have therapy right after this.
I love that.
I go just about weekly. I'm doing steps differently. I have developed a support group of all women. I think I have one male person that is in my support group, like my inner circle. Got clean, got married.
You talking about therapy, and I think that's so important that people share. That they. Yeah, I have therapy because that dual diagnosis, that mental and the addiction, they go hand in really so many cases.
Just so does fast money. Fast money. Oh my God. Addicting. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it was for me to work a job and pay taxes. It was like piss the fuck off. For
that part.
Yeah, no, for real. And then doing everything the right way. And in the honest way, when you go from one to the other, it is super hard. There's reasons why people fall back because working the regular doesn't add up and you struggle.
It's like we had Criminon, we had Zane and Bear here, and Zane is talking about he hurt his back, he can't work as much. And so he's faced with all of this debt, these bills and everything facing him, and his income has dropped. And it's like, God, how easy it would be because he knows how to do it. He knows what to do.
Exactly.
You know? And so to have his support, that's why Bear is just right there.
Exactly.
And he knows who to call. He knows who to.
Absolutely. Like when I left the logistics company I worked for, I came over to Quest. I was a housing case manager for our house that's directly engaged with our treatment. They have a house that people who are LGBTQ, HIV positive, they don't have to be HIV positive, but they do have to be LGBTQ, IA2S plus to live in the house and actively engage in our treatment services.
Very cool.
That's how I found your meeting. Because Darnell, my work wife,
my baby's mama.
So Darnell and Kim, my manager, were like, this is a really good meeting. We should take house clients over here. I was like, okay, cool. So we went and I was like, oh my God, this is actually one AA meeting that I can sit in a room and actually feel comfortable.
It is one of the...
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like...
I was in when I got sober, the meeting I went to was very conservative.
Yeah.
And that was my sobriety. And I'm so grateful I found the Lunch Bunch because it is such a comfortable, you can be yourself.
Yeah.
And people there, because they can be themselves, you have this relationship. You know, and you can go back, oh yeah, I remember being in that situation.
Yeah.
Which is stuff I could never talk about or I didn't feel I could in the conservative group that I had been in. And so thank goodness.
On Sunday, there was 6 trans people there.
Aww.
And it was great. And they all feel comfortable, which is important to me. And when I started going, it was a LGBTQ meeting, but it was a bunch of gay men.
Yep.
And I was the only girl. But they made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They made me feel safe. And I knew they didn't want to sleep with me. And that was like the
that was
best.
Huge.
It was huge. And I didn't want to sleep with them. I didn't want to convert them. It was really good. And it is now. When I first went there, alcohol was mostly discussed. And as our drugs in society have grown, so has the meeting. Yeah. You can talk about anything. And I
think on Fridays, they've been counting 40, 45 people. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's not counting the 40 online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's in the rooms. Yeah.
No, I know we have a big presence over there too. Like our clients love it.
I love Paul, Octavia.
Yeah. Another coworker of mine that is one of the housing case managers, he takes people over there weekly on Fridays, actually.
Fridays is our meeting.
Yeah. And so one thing I will say is I have never been to an AA meeting where I felt just accepted with me. I don't check in as an alcoholic. I'm a fucking addict.
I check in as an addict and an alcoholic.
Because what I do addictively. Mm-hmm. I still don't think I had a problem with alcohol because I could quit it whenever I wanted. But I know that is my addict brain telling me, bitch, it is what it is.
And even if you could, it leads to the other. So
it did.
Let's not go down that road.
It did.
Yeah.
So like before I started using meth in my relapse, I drank a few times prior. And I still, up until about 2 years ago, I want to say, I was still like, no, that didn't lead to my relapse. No, that didn't lead to my relapse. No,
that led to your relapse, I promise.
It guaranteed.
We always want to leave something on the table
Absolutely.
Like a little nugget that,
Absolutely.
And it's, no, you can't.
Absolutely. And so like today for me, like I don't go to as many meetings as I used to. Like for my own personal recovery, I do for work. I will occasionally go to a meeting, but it's usually a meeting that is not one I went to at the very beginning, almost 8 years ago, because all of those meetings, I have this negative mindset with where, who am I going to go find to sleep with? Who am I going to go to get the outside validation? Who am I going to go to that's going to co-sign my bullshit, right? I try to go to different meetings.
Yeah.
I find my way. And I went to my first recovery Dharma meeting a few weeks ago. Absolutely love it.
Amazing.
Love it.
There's so many ways to get sober.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yeah. So Quest, tell me about, I didn't know Quest had a treatment center as well as housing.
We are treatment.
Wow.
So we are a holistic health and wellness center. We were founded back in the 80s by our founder and a couple other people. I don't know the other people's names, but I know Lucia's name because she still works there.
Oh.
And it was founded during the HIV and AIDS epidemic or pandemic. I don't know which one they used, but during that crisis, right?
AIDS was huge, yeah.
Yeah. During that time, people were being told just to go fucking do all your drugs, go drink, just go off and do whatever you're doing now to go fucking die somewhere. And Lucia's like, no, let's not do that. Why don't you come hang out with me? Let's start moving your body better. Let's start eating differently. Let's get sober and find a different way to live and extend your life. So that is where we started. We have a whole HIV department.
I love that.
We have mental health, which we have several different areas. We have a sex therapist, CBT, DBT, we have family therapy, we have dealing with your family stuff.
Well-rounded program.
Yeah, we have gender affirming care, we have neurodivergent care for mental health. There's just there's so much more that I can't even list. Yeah. We have so many different areas of mental health, which is amazing.
It is, because just like we were talking about yesterday, one goes with the other in 80% of the cases.
Yeah.
And the trauma, just everything, like the sex working, just like you said. Yeah. It's all part of the same story.
Absolutely it is. And so we have that. We have, we have non-opiate pain management. And then we have a medical department. So we do have a naturopath on site. And we have our substance use department. So, which that looks like there's 3 different tracks in it, 3 different programs within our substance use program. We have our abstinence-based one, which has the LGBTQ house with intensive outpatient. We have our TRI program, which is it's called the Resilience Initiative. That's for our culturally specific crowd. So folks who identify as African-American or a person of color. We have the house that is tied with that, but it's people who are African-American to live in the home who are engaged with that treatment.
Fucking love it.
And then we have a harm reduction program called LINK. So it's not abstinent-based. It just teaches skills to kind of wean off what you're wanting to get off. But a lot of them have gotten to a point where they are completely abstinent.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And we have acupuncture. We have nutritionists. We have on Thursday nights, we have this thing called Nutrition Night where you send out an email and be like, hey, I want to RSVP to come to Nutrition Night. And then you can come and have a meal provided by our nutritionists and a bunch of volunteers from a bunch of donated food from Whole Foods.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's delicious. It is so good.
I know that you're on a tight time frame.
Yeah, we got
today,
a few minutes.
And so perhaps we'll have you back with one of your coworkers or more.
We will
talk fully about Quest.
Yeah.
But for someone who is hearing this and thinking, that sounds like something I need, I want to go. How do they get into the program? What are the steps?
So steps are, you can either call our outreach person, which is, his name's Elijah. You can call one of the peers it depends on what you want. If it's for substance use, you can call one of the peers, and there's 4 of us. Or they can just call the front desk and be like, hey, I'm interested.
And this is all on your website, so I can post a link. Is. Awesome. Yeah.
It is.
So I want to make it easy for our listeners to get through.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I love the options.
Yeah.
There wasn't options like that back in the day.
Yeah.
And we were talking again to the dual diagnosis last night. I went through IOP 25 years sober.
Yeah.
But I wish I could have gone through mental health sooner.
Yeah.
Because I've grown so much since then.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know like I needed it. It took a breakdown from work. And I just love it. And your passion.
Yeah.
You're a lot like me. I'm a spaz in a good way. You know what I mean?
Listen, I have ADHD.
That's why we have the same. That's why we have the same babies, daddy, mama.
Yeah. Like I have ADHD. I'm a recovering addict. I have horrible anxiety. Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
And CPTSD. So I'm literally all over the fucking place all the time. But one thing I need to do that makes me happy within myself is I like to fucking help people. I'm a natural nurturer. I might not always be kind about it or soft and sensitive. I'm a very direct person. And I work with my clients like that. I'm direct. I'm not fucking mean, but I'm very direct.
And call it honest.
Yeah, but people think, but there are people who want the sugar coating and the,
it's okay.
It's going to be okay. No. Look, it's going to be fucking okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. But what are your choices behind what you're going to do?
You got to do the work.
Are you going to do something different? Because I'm not going to put in more work than you. And that doesn't just go for my clients. That also goes for my kids. And my kids, like I said, I have a 17-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son. I do have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter from my stepson. She's a cutie. And she has me wrapped around her finger. So do my nephews, but that's neither here nor there. My kids are just too old to be me rapping. But
I have a 32-year-old.
I'll be 40 in May. So I'm excited. I'm going to be spending it actually in California with my granddaughter at Disneyland. And her other grandmother.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, her other grandma was like, because she lives with her other grandma on the mom's side. And so we're thinking about going to California from this day to this day in May. And we want you to come. I'm like, done.
Yeah.
Done. I don't care what I'm doing.
Isn't that cool that you get to be there and do that? And that's what recovery does for us.
Yeah.
We get asked, what? You want me to be there? Okay.
And I helped my sister do her taxes the other day. And like her and both my nephew's information is in there. And the crowd I used to run with, they did identity theft. And I was like, had I been back in my addiction, my sister would not be asking me for help.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So wait a minute. I totally misstep. So how I got to Quest is that friend B that I was mentioning was like, we have an opening here because she works there too.
Oh.
And so
awesome. What a factor B has been.
Yeah.
She has. She's an asshole sometimes, but who's not? I love her. But yeah,
we've
been friends for almost 13 years. She's overstepped the friend department and has gone into family. And like she supported me through a lot of my hard times. And from some mistakes that I've made that like really justifiably were fucked up, she had to take a step back for her own mental health. And I get it. Like it is what it is, but she's pretty good. She's good at what she does for our clients. She's one of the substance use peers. She's gotten me through a lot of my hard times. And
PRM. And we hear all the time how important a peer is to someone's recovery.
Like I wish I knew about a peer when I was going to treatment.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't a thing.
That is so invaluable. I hear it over and over, and I'm like, that is, it's the way to go.
Absolutely.
It is. And somebody with lived experience that really knows what you're feeling like, that knows what it's like to withdraw from meth and how your body feels like you got ran over by a car. Yeah.
It's what the meetings are, because that's what meetings are, is you're going with your peer, you're learning. And so why not take that method and put it into the professional field? I think it's just beautiful.
Right. And I think it's easier. So anytime I like do a meet and greet, the first appointment for somebody coming in, one of the first things I'll do is I'll introduce myself and I tell them, look, I just want to be very transparent. I am a person in recovery. I do identify as an addict, and here's my sobriety date. A lot of the times they'll ask me what my drug of choice was, and I'll share it with them or be like, whatever. Yeah. If I don't feel comfortable sharing with them, it doesn't matter. Just know that I have been there and done that. And thank God, knock on wood, I have not gone to jail. I have never been arrested.
Yeah. I got lucky too. I look back and think, oh my God. Because I did go to jail once or twice, but there were so many other times. I should have been there.
And I'm going to say I'm lucky I went. And I only did 6 months and 14 days. Yeah. So it wasn't like I did decades. And I got a huge time cut from going to boot camp. But I was ashamed for a long time. Yeah. But I will tell you now, I believe it saved my life.
Absolutely.
And I needed a fucking timeout.
You know what? I know a lot of people that credit their time in jail or prison to their sobriety.
Yes.
And a lot of it is because they find themselves while they're in there and they don't continue to do the stupid shit they were doing.
I was scared. I didn't want to go back.
Like, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. And I think people that can recognize what they don't want to move towards what they do want, even if they don't know what that is.
Yeah.
They're doing the work they need to do on themselves then at that point, which is really fucking cool to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes a step in the wrong direction to get pushed in the right direction.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah. And I have a few rules to this day. If you're actively using, I don't fuck with you. Period. If you're want to get sober, I'll meet you at a meeting.
Yep.
And those boundaries have really worked well for me personally. The other makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I know that from some of our experiences, even some of the stories here. There was one that was particularly hard for me with the needle usage.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, you're the first. Understanding the money factor, not everybody does. And I can appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think financial insecurity sometimes plays a part in that as well.
Yeah. Like I was taught by my folks back when I was doing that I have a multi-million-dollar asset between my legs. So when I get into a pinch, thank God I've done so much work on myself that my mind does not go there anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
Like I would never do it again. Like it scares me.
Yeah. I'm so picky now, please. You don't stand a chance. I feel like my kisses, never kissed a client. I feel like my kisses are worth millions of fucking dollars. And if I give you one, you should feel blessed by the Pope. I'm just saying, for real.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Being here. I feel like we're so short and condensed, but I know we can come back and talk about Quest more because I would love to hear more about that.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to round up because I know we have our fundraiser tomorrow. So our DevCom department, our development communications department they're wrapped up in that. So I think
don't we understand? We have our 1 year get together on Saturday.
Ooh.
And I can send you the information, but we would love to have Paul or Darnell back and get more word out about Quest.
And we can do more than just one at a time. We can get a group and do a little round table and just
absolutely
talk about Quest and get that out there.
So it sounds like I've always known of Quest.
Yeah.
But hearing what you say about Quest is not necessarily what I've known about Quest.
Yeah, we're Portland's best kept secret.
Yeah, I think so.
Like beyond. Okay.
Yeah, no, we do a lot.
I fucking love it. Yeah. I just really love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story because it will definitely resonate and help someone.
And didn't I promise you would feel comfortable?
Yeah.
I did. I kept my promise.
We weren't so scary.
Studio H is amazing.
This thing in front of my face that was a little intimidating. Your dog gave me all the love
there
I needed
you
prior.
go.
So.
This thing in front of our face is my biggest issue every time. So like I said, it's too big. Yeah.
It's too big.
This is Peter with the Real Recovery Podcast.
This is Julie with
Nicole.
Thank you, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for lending us your ears and hearts. Your engagement is what fuels our passion and keeps this podcast thriving.
We cherish the moments we share here and hope they resonate with you. Whether you're on a daily commute, at the gym, or just taking a moment for yourself.
Make sure to head over to our website at realrecoverypodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter for the latest insights and uplifting stories from our community delivered straight to your inbox.
Click that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player too, so you can keep up with every new episode. It's your support that keeps our conversation alive and meaningful.
And if our stories have touched you, consider using the donate button on our site. Your contributions, no matter the size, are deeply appreciated. They help us continue our mission of sharing hope and healing.
Join us beyond the podcast and follow our journey on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are on our site, so you can stay connected and be a part of the Real Recovery community every day.
Your likes, shares, and comments not only spread the message of recovery, but also remind us that we're all in this together.
So, until we meet again, remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination, and we'll be here to accompany you every step of the way to recovery, real recovery.
Thanks for listening.